Here we are. That is wonderful. This is Let's Talk Tuesday. It's right at 7, so let's give this just a minute and see if we got anybody for today. All right, that's a minute. This is Let's Talk Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Sarah from Align with Sarah, and we're talking about growth this month as our piece of wellness. And there is already a blog out there. I hope you can check it out and read it. It's really introduces this thought that I'm bringing into this piece of wellness about growth and incorporating this concept of my life or my consciousness is a tree of life with branches, trunk, roots, this whole thing, and using that analogy to I just lost my train of thought. Using that analogy to kind of break down what I'm doing and where it's coming from. So we're talking about growth, and number one awesome thing I read in the book How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. No one shames themselves into better mental health. Not an option, not possible. No one shames themselves into a better state of mental health. So this had me thinking about growing something. You know, am I trying to grow better mental health with shame and guilt and regret or whatever? Because if I'm trying to get to this place that's impossible anyway, it's like that, like that's a keyhole, and like my efforts are creating this key that just doesn't even fit that lock. You know, it's like putting like an old time skeleton key in just like a regular modern day door lock. Not going to get you anywhere, not going to get you in, not going to fit. So thinking about what's kind of contributing here, and my thought is that we're always growing. There's always something growing. Are we growing frustration, or are we growing patience? You know, are we growing this irritation with debt, or are we going to grow ways to bring in income? What are we growing? So, going off of that, there is always this effort. There's always this goal. There's always some kind of focus, and wondering what fuels that. I'm like super not following my notes here, and I am getting myself all confused. So anyway, back to focus. So what is fueling this? There's always an effort, there's always a goal, there's always a focus. What is fueling that? What is fueling that? Where is this growth coming from? Is another way to ask the same thing, just from a slightly different angle. Sometimes it helps to adjust that thought or that effort. Ask a little bit of a different question so you can maybe uncover or discover a little piece of wisdom or something that kind of like breaks the light through. So we're talking today, this month, about growth, and I want to talk about the growth from the inside and growth from the outside, and the difference between the two of them. So I kind of went through a little bit about how my mind got into this piece of wellness for this month, and really what it's focusing on and building on. And I'm going to keep with that analogy of that tree, or like a tree of life. Because I think we've all seen a tree, and we understand that there's stuff down in the dirt we can't see. There's, the trunk that holds everything up. And then there's these branches that contribute to life, but also demand a lot from everything that's underneath it. So growth from the inside out. I'm going to kind of hold that thought, and I'm going to go into something I say all the time when I'm working with clients, sometimes here, I think, healing from the inside out is different than healing from the outside in. Healing from the outside in, I really don't believe that it's possible. If you are really deeply hurting down inside, healing from the outside in, I'm imagining that there'll be some progress, there'll be some sort of shifting, but it is not comparable to truly healing from the inside out. We could use that analogy. We can use that topic, that discussion, taking that word healing and then, switching that around, that growth from the inside out. And if we think of a deep wound, into a tree where, a squirrel has decided to kind of dig into it, or a woodpecker or whatever creates a hole, that tree can heal over that, right? And that spot is always going to be there. I know that sometimes when I'm processing firewood, which I know I'm talking about firewood, it always comes up. I love doing it. It's interesting, the things that trees, when it's getting split or even cut down, the stuff that's inside trees, like fence pieces and golf clubs and just wire, nails, screws, other pieces, like a piece of board I've had that was in like the crook of a tree, and the tree just grew right over it. It absorbs that, but that's still inside of it. Our body works a little different than a tree, where we have an injury. Like if I have a splinter, I can go in and dig it out with that with some tweezers or a needle if I need to. But my body has this instinct to heal from the inside out. It's going to push that. It's going to go through this inflammation process, healing process, and create a situation where that can naturally be pushed out of the body. Usually that's what happens when we're in a state of healing, in a state of health. So growing from the inside out, when we have this effort that we're going to pay attention to, and we want to change what we're doing, we want to change what's fueling our effort. When we notice that, it might be fueled by insecurity, it might be fueled by abandonment, it might be fueled from like pain that we experience from lack of control. So we want to control everything, which that's we talk about in clinic for anxiety. That is the fuel for anxiety. That is the fuel for fear. When we try to control other people, other things, other events, it's like trying to control the weather. It's like it's not going to happen unless you have some like magic scientific, invention, whatever. You aren't going to control the weather. You aren't going to control that growth of that tree that I've been talking about. It's going to grow around that fence post. It's going to keep going and sort of just take it with it. We have the opportunity of kicking that out and really healing from a very deep place inside of us. So growth from the inside out looks different than growth from the outside, which doesn't usually go in, but it does affect the inside environment. So outside growth is going to be, those branches reaching. So we set an intention. We can imagine that, that branch kind of reaching out. Outside growth is adding too much to that branch, where, we're going to hang a swing on something that's not ready for it, or a birdhouse, or, something that's adding to this thing that's not developed yet. Might be fine, but it might not be fine. That's growth on the outside of how I'm imagining this tree of life. Growth on the inside is paying attention to, the leaves that are facing the sun, paying attention to whether, I'm making the whole canopy, whether I hold a place in this whole canopy to receive light, or if I'm this like underbrush in, this overwhelm of other people's needs that are shading out my nutrition. If I'm in a place where that's fine, that's helping me, I don't require a lot of sunlight, that's great. But then recognizing the fact of, what size am I? How much energy do I have? Like, how am I taking up space? Because all of these things are going to contribute to my overall life, my overall experience here, on this planet, in this dirt, with my dreams and my goals and everything in between. So, paying attention to, are you adding too much to this experience? Are you adding nutrition? Are you bracing things, so that this branch can have exactly what it needs, and be able to develop the fruit that it needs to develop, or the whatever it is that our goal is on the other, the extensions of this branch. So, let's see. One thing that to pay attention to help recognize whether we're growing from the inside out, or whether we're growing something on the outside, which is not going to really affect our inside, is going back to that first part of what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Where is this feeling coming from? Like, what can I identify an emotion? I want to be arriving in this place where my trunk, this thing that connects these roots and these branches, is, this is my heaven on earth, and this is my earth. So what's connecting my heaven and earth? And where is that coming from? Is it coming from these rotted branches or roots in this dirt? Or is it, are these roots sunk into an environment that does not support my needs? The big tree can tip over if it's, in this silty soil, and, it grows too top heavy. Too many rocks in the ground will stunt the tree's growth, because there's going to be less nutrients that would be found in that fine sediment of dirt. So it could be the environment that those roots are sunk into. It could be it could be, to go with that, that environment, that's that analogy of those emotions. Is this an emotion of failure? Am I rambling and scrambling, panicking? Is this coming from panic? All of those negative emotions that I've mentioned all branch from fear. Positive emotions, confidence, patience, understanding, forgiveness, all of those are branches of love. So when we can sink them into our earth and create an environment that involves them, create an environment where those roots can grow into, understand that we choose what those roots believe in. We choose our own root belief systems that would be the roots of this tree. And when we identify that they are not functional and we can't let them go, that's the perfect time to reach out to somebody that does work, like myself, with that Reiki healing, emotion code healing, body code healing, chakra training, the meridian work, understanding that the Chinese medicine of what the organs' emotions are, how that energy flows through the body. Why is it always that right shoulder? Why is that always, the pain point? Why do you always get a headache at X, Y, or Z time? Or why is, your stomach tied in knots all the time? There's emotions that attach to the function of those organs. They resonate on the same level. So this is our roots in the ground, emitting this emotion, growing from this emotion, and, creating something that is not full of integrity, not full of love. So, and this is why I love my job so much, because helping people adjust those root causes of that dysfunction, whether it's that chronic pain, or whether it's something in life, like the financial struggle, or the relationship thing. Connecting to people is all about emotions. Connecting is all about self-confidence. It's all about self-worth. And when we don't have that, it makes it very hard to reach out and say, I'm worth it. And when that changes, it's this whole other experience of like arriving with like your best outfit on and great hair day, or like in your best self that you feel like you're projecting out there. It never gets old, my job. I love it so much. So talking about growth inside and out, I think that's basically all I wanted to cover, to just kind of continue that analogy of that tree of life. And we talked about that. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is you talking about that root system and the way that I help those people, the way that I help people, the way that I use this work. It approaches the problem, not just the symptoms. So inside out healing from the inside out involves looking for the root of that symptom, not just the symptom. Of course, we want headaches to go away, but when we understand what the reasoning is for why those headaches are showing up, then the side effect of healing that area of the body, that piece inside, is that outside experience just goes away versus trying to control it. Because when we try to control that, it feeds negative emotions, and we're ignoring the wisdom of our body. Our body is always trying to tell us something. And when we listen to that story, or listen to that symptom, we can start understanding the story of what is wrong and what's asking to be healed. So that was the only other thing that I wanted to talk about, the symptoms versus the problems, because that very much ties into healing from the outside or healing from the inside, as well as growing on the outside versus growing on the inside out. So I am so thankful to have someone here. If you want to say hello, if you have a question, thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for my rambling and scrambling. My notes, I think I started here and then went here and then over here and then back around here. It's just, I feel like I confuse myself more when I write notes, which is exactly opposite of the whole process of notes. But anyway, so I don't see anything in these comments, but thank you so much for being here. I have upcoming events. If you person watching are local to this area, or if whoever sees this replay is local to the area, upcoming this weekend, so in just a few days, on Saturday, I'm hosting a couples neck workshop to learn basic massage for relieving neck tension. I feel like it's a wonderful Valentine's Day gift to offer to a loved one. So you have to sign up as a pair, and I can work with 2 couples per session. And then there's going to be 2 sessions for each Saturday coming up. And it's going to be a really fun time. Everyone's going to give, everyone's going to receive. I'm going to work on everyone that is there as part of the workshop. And we're going to work on massage tables. And we're also going to learn, I'm going to show you how you can work on somebody sitting on just a regular chair. So not a lot of people have a massage table at home. And it's a really nice resource, a really quick thing to do to help someone just relax. We have like that instinct to kind of go right for those traps up here and start, like overworking our hands so we poop out. But I'll share some stuff to make that a little bit more intentional and a little bit have a little longevity to it. And then clinic is also going to be part of, it's part of every month, but part of these announcements as well. It's the last Friday of each month. I found that it really doesn't work to live stream. So it is an in-person event, as well as that neck workshop. That's also an in-person event, because I don't know how to teach people how to massage, really teach them techniques over the computer. But anyway, so yeah, clinic is an in-person event. And I asked for a $10 donation for people that show up. That turns into a donation that I put forward into a cause. One of my favorites is the Wounded Warrior, and I feel like I'll be collecting for them for a couple months. So That's it, I guess. That's it for today. Thank you, person, for being here. Thank you, everyone who watches this on the replay. And I will talk to you again real soon.